Ladies and gentlemen, people of the world, wherever you are, today is a very exciting day. We've talked about him on the show a handful of times. I would consider him part of the lore of the show. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise at home, in your car, wherever, for the one only Carrot Top.
Oh, hello, everybody. Yeah. Hi. I like that you mentioned me before. Was it all good?
It was.
It worries you, right?
No.
Oh, we talk about it all the time.
It was, but I will say, some people's entry point to you was your wardrobe malfunction on TikTok. Do you remember this?
Oh God, no. Oh God. Was it like my wiener?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like bouncing around.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's a good introduction.
Yeah.
It's a bad introduction.
Now they know you're working.
Yeah, I can add work. I mean, right.
Well, hell yeah, man.
Thank God I have a big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Because right then it'd be like, oh, you see him bounce around and sounds.
Yeah.
It's like this little. No.
I actually have a super. This is very random because two things. One, my mom would always reference your movie, Chairman of the Board.
Okay.
But she'd always do the BORED, and she would use that to roast my dad. So if my dad was telling a boring story, she'd just call it out.
Yeah, Chairman of the Board.
Yeah, she'd go, Chairman of the Board.
Yeah.
And she'd laugh at him.
Yeah, we did that. We did that on the set, I think. I mean, we were kind of privy to it. I mean, first day, I think, we said, it's Chairman of the Board, as in board, not board,
Yeah.
Because, filming a movie for 2 months.
Yeah.
But it was a fun experience. And, of course, you're ready to get all the crap, because you're Carrot Top in your film. So it wasn't like I was shocked they were going to rip me apart.
Yeah. When did you make that film? How many years ago now?
God, I don't even remember. 90 something.
90. Yeah, it was a minute ago. Do you remember how old you were when you made it?
20 something, late 20s.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so I
didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. Literally. I even told them that.
Yeah.
That I didn't. And they're like, oh, ready, set, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And they're like, yeah, you're good, and action. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And they just.
Yeah. Well,
it turned out okay because we, the more we got into it, the more you took, because I do stand up, so stand up is way different than movies in every aspect of it. And Larry Miller was a brilliant comic who was on one of the cast members, and he took me aside one day. We were watching the dailies, and he says, "You want to see? Can I give you a little tip?" And I said, "Please give me anything." And he brought me in, and he said, "You see how when you're doing this? Let me show you this scene we did today." So he did something with his eyebrow. Just by moving his eyebrow, got the laugh. It was the punchline by watching that little one move, as opposed to me, jumping around and trying to. But then again, there was always props, and so I was part of it. I had to be kind of bigger than life, silly, because I'm jumping around with big props and surfboards and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But the actual scenes where you had to be serious, I learned a lot. Like this scene with Jack Warden. I mean, it was kind of a cool scene.
Yeah. I mean, for all the whatever shit people used to give you, you did a lot of crazy things.
Yes.
It's awesome. Actually, the scene where the woman flushes the toilet.
Yes.
So it's funny because my cousins, they showed me this movie. I think I was maybe like 6 or 7. We were all about the same age, and they love the movie. They're like, "You got to watch Chairman of the Board." So we watched Chairman of the Board, and that scene for some reason was like stamped in my mind.
Right.
And I'm not exaggerating, for the rest of my life, I've always had this thought that while I'm taking a shower, someone's going to storm the bathroom and flush the toilet and turn the water cold.
Yeah.
So in a weird way, that's the impact.
Oh, good. Oh, good.
My life is this permanent fear in the shower, dude. Do you remember, just for the people listening that aren't familiar, with your entire career, do you remember, one of your first performances ever? Could you retell that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was at the Rathskeller in the college library. They had this little room off to the side, and I said, they had to serve beer at night, and there was a little stage, and I said, is it cool if I go up there and do comedy? And they said, great. Do you know how to do it? I said, I don't know how to do it, but if you mind doing it. So I just went up there and just started telling jokes.
Yeah.
I mean, like George Carlin jokes and Richard Pryor jokes and, jokes that had been set before, not my stuff.
Yeah.
And it was just the comfort of doing it and people laughing that I said, I really like this. And then a couple more times came by and they would ask me actually, hey, on Wednesdays, you want to make that comedy night? So I said, sure. So every Wednesday I would have comedy. And then it started becoming a little more popular, and all the kids would come and drink beers, and I'd put on a little show, and then it would start to slowly progress into my own material.
Yeah.
After doing all those jokes, and so I started thinking of a way to come up with my own jokes. So my first prop was a neighborhood crime watch sign.
Okay.
And I'd stolen it. And it was on my dorm, so I just ripped it off my dorm. I walked in, I said, sorry, I'm late. I was in the neighborhood, and I held up the sign. And I said, how good is our crime watch if they're not even watching the signs?
Right.
And everybody laughed, and it was like, well, it's clever and funny, and it's kind of raw. You stole the sign, so there's a lot of elements that made it funny.
Yeah.
And it was smart, it's like smart, like how good is our crime watch? And so then I started thinking, I need to have more signs, maybe, like so I went through the city of Boca, and I literally said, that's a funny sign too, because it was about a train horn. It said, no train horn between these hours. And I'm like, that's the hours you need the train horn, because you can't see the train, you need to hear it. And so I pulled that one down, and then I took, there was the main road that went through Boca Raton was called Butts Road.
Yeah.
So I said, you got to get that one, and just, this is where all the assholes live.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
it was just started to become a little, a sign bit, and I had all these, like 15 different signs. Slow children at play.
Yeah.
If you looked at the sign to this day, they have a stick figure with no feet. I said, no wonder they're slow. They don't have any feet.
Right.
So it was all stuff people had seen, They're like, oh, that's funny. I see that sign every day. I never put those two and two together.
Yeah.
So it's kind of coming up with things that were, and people that influenced me in comedy were like people that wrote, like George Carlin would kind of come up with that, or Gallagher, like a gag where we'd see, but was also clever. Like you could make it yourself, not like just holding up this coffee cup. It would have to be something that would be, the cup would have to do something.
Was it, I'm sure that was a pretty crazy moment to be acknowledged by Carlin. Because didn't, like if you're saying in college, you say his material is like,
right,
just to give it a shot. And then you eventually, his name comes out of his face. I mean, that must have been insane for you.
I show it in my show every night. I do. I think I've been influenced in my life. And it was a tradition. My friends would always sit on a couch just like this.
Yeah.
And we'd watch the HBO special every time it aired.
Yeah.
And so my buddies would all sit down and we'd hit play and we'd watch the George Carlin special. And then sure enough, we're just watching it. And he says, who packed your bags? And he says, you didn't pack your bags. He says, no, Carrot Top packed my bags. And I'm sitting on my couch, my friend's like, what the, right? The only one with a boner, So I'm like, sorry, fellas, I had no idea I was going to say
Big boner,
that.
let's make that clear.
Well, back
Huge
then,
boner.
that's right. Everyone knows about it now, so I can't lie.
Yeah.
It was everywhere.
Yeah.
So that was it's still when I watch it nightly. It's still exciting because it's like George Carlin, saying your name.
Yeah.
When you first get into the business, you're watching him and thinking about people like that are mentors, and you get he says your name. It's a cool moment because and everyone would lie if they said they didn't get excited that their mentor mentioned their name. So.